U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has arrived at the residence of Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto, making Mike Pompeo and President Nieto will also meet President-elect Andrés Manuel López Obrador. The visit is seen as a chance to repair ties that have been increasingly strained since U.S. President Donald Trump's 2016 election. López Obrador takes office on December 1st. During U.S. President's visit to the Windsor Castle, Trump makes an abrupt halt at the inspection of honor guard with Britain's Queen President. Trump was heralded by military bands on his arrival at the castle before he and First Lady Melania were due to have tea with the 92-year-old Queen. The President and First Lady are due to fly to Scotland for a private trip before heading to Helsinki for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. In a news conference at the Chequers, President Donald Trump has said the United States and Britain could secure a great post-Brexit trade deal. U.S. President also lavished praises on Prime Minister Theresa May, contradicting his own withering assessment of her strategy, publicized hours earlier after Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit blueprint yesterday. Trump had shocked Britain's political establishment by criticizing May's plans for ties with the European Union after Britain leaves in March. U.S. President Donald Trump has heavily criticized Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline to Germany, calling it a tragedy in a news conference in England. Donald Trump has also said that he would tell Russian President Vladimir Putin to stay out of the U.S. elections when he meets him on July 16. Germany supports a plan to double capacity of the Nord Stream pipeline under the Baltic Sea to Germany, bypassing traditional routes through Ukraine. British opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn has joined tens of thousands of protesters at the anti-Trump protest in London. In a speech at the rally in Trafalgar Square, Corbyn has said that the message from London today was that we are united in hope, and thanked the crowd for giving this message to the rest of the world. A blimp depicting Donald Trump as an orange snarling nappy-wearing baby had also joined the rally. Earlier, the blimp flew outside British Parliament and was watched by around 1,000 people. A Green Party campaigner dressed up as a Dalek-themed Donald Trump visited London on the day of the US President arrived in the UK for his first official visit. Alistair Binney Lubbock wore a Dalek costume with a blonde wig and red tie whilst he visited Britain's Parliament. The US President Donald Trump has told in an interview that planned protests against him in London and other British cities made him feel unwelcome, so he was avoiding the capital as much as possible. The summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin under delicate post-war treaties, Helsinki has adopted a policy of accommodation with Moscow while remaining strictly neutral. Helsinki had also avoided membership in either the Soviet-led Warsaw Pact or NATO. The Finnish capital will be the latest installment with East-West relations tenser than at any time since the Cold War. Ukrainians are hoping for peace ahead of the much-awaited summit between U.S. President and Russian President on July 16. President Trump and President Putin will be meeting in Helsinki to discuss the Ukrainian conflict, among other issues. The residents in Ukraine have hopes that Trump will push Putin to soften his position regarding the deployment of a peacekeeping mission to the region. The remains of U.S. and South Korean soldiers killed during the Korean War has been repatriated to their home countries. A repatriation ceremony of an unidentified U.S. soldier and South Korean private first class of Korean augmentation to the United States Army took place at Seoul National Cemetery. Chinese imports to US ports have increased amid the intensifying trade war that threatens to send up cost on a growing number of consumer products. The volume of loaded shipping containers from China to all US ports was up 6.3% in June from a year earlier, after falling 6.9% in May and 3.9% in April. The US had imposed 25% tariffs on $34 billion of Chinese goods on July 16. China had quickly fired back with tariffs on an equal value of US goods, including soybeans, whiskey, cotton, and automobiles. A Palestinian teenager has been shot dead by the Israeli soldiers during a protest at the Gaza-Israel border. Protest: more than 130 Palestinians have been killed in the Israel-Gaza border protests. The border violence has entered the fourth month and has drawn a lethal Israeli army response. Thousands took part in the protest, which marked 100 days since their launch. Some protesters ventured close to the border fence, burned tires and threw stones at the soldiers. A prominent Chilean Catholic priest has been detained over allegations over sexual abuse of minors. The priest Oscar Munoz was holding a senior position in the Archdiocese of Santiago. The sentence represents the first instance of jail time for a member of the Catholic Church in a widening sexual abuse scandal in the South American country. Oscar Munoz had turned himself into a church authority in January and was separated from his functions while an investigation into sexual abuse and rape is being carried out. Human rights activists gathered in Berlin for a memorial service for Nobel Peace Prize winning dissident Liu Xiaobo. Liu had died at the age of 61 on July 13 last year in a hospital in the northern city of Shenyang. He was denied the permission to leave China for treatment of late-stage liver cancer and died under close guard by security agents. Liu's last major act in a long career of activism was during the 1989 pro-democracy protest in Beijing. Former Pakistan Prime Minister and PMNN leader Nawaz Sharif has been arrested on his arrival at Lahore airport. Sharif will now be taken to Islamabad in a chopper after they will be taken to Adiala jail in Rawalpindi, where they will be serving their sentence. Nawaz Sharif has been sentenced to 10 years in jail, while his daughter will be serving 7 years in prison in connection with the Panama Papers case. At least 8 black rhinos have died in Kenya while being transported by the State Wildlife Service between 2 national parks. The rhinos, who were part of a critically endangered species, died at Tsavo East National Park. An initial investigation by Kenya Wildlife Service has showed that the rhinos died of salt poisoning after drinking water at their new habitat. Many submarines are taking part in an unusual race in a large pool in southern England. The race is powered by scuba divers paddling furiously. A fourth biennial European International Submarine Race has seen teams of university students build and race in a contest that mixes sport and engineering. Turkey and Pakistan have signed an agreement of the sale of 30 Turkish T-129 attack helicopters in what will be the biggest export deal of the Turkish defense industry. The $1.5 billion deal encompassed the provision of logistics, spare parts, training and ammunition for the helicopters. Jeff Bezos' rocket company plans to charge passengers about $200,000 to $300,000 for its first trips into space next year. Potential customers and the aerospace industry have been eager to learn the cost of a ticket to find out if it is affordable and whether the company can generate enough demand to make a profit of space tourism. Build-A-Bear Workshop, the global stuffed animal retailer, had to cancel its popular Pay or Age event as long lines stretched outside its US stores and crowds clogged mall corridors. During Thursday's promotion, a bonus club member could pay his or her age for any furry friend in Build-A-Bear stores in the United States, Canada and the United Kingdom. Harry Potter fans have now got more to enjoy at Universal Studios as the theme park unveiled new elements to its Harry Potter-inspired land. The famous Harry Potter Butterbeer has now gone frozen with an ice cream line on display, and 2 new spell-casting areas have been made available for wand waivers. India's annual retail inflation accelerated to a 5-month high in June. The inflation is driven by weakening rupee as well as surging oil prices. This will bolster the chance of rising interest rates in the coming months. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's decision to raise procurement prices ahead of election could push up prices of food grains in the coming months. Separatists call for a statewide shutdown in Kashmir to pay homage to the killing of 22 Kashmiri youth on July 13, 1931 in a major uprising against the Dogra monarchy. On its anniversary, the state observed Martyrs' Day with shutdown and restrictions were imposed in Srinagar. Controversial Islamic preacher Zakir Naik could be deported from Malaysia. Malaysian minister has said the Naik's deportation will be discussed with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Malaysia has confirmed that the Indian government will make necessary deportation order and they will follow the rule of law. Just ahead of the most awaited lunar eclipse on July 27, India on Friday witnessed a partial solar eclipse during which moon was seen devouring the sun. The eclipse lasted for a duration of 1 hour 13 minutes and the next solar eclipse of 2018 will occur on 11th August this year. Six times World Surfing Champion Stephanie Gilmore has won the World Surf League Women's event at Jeffreys Bay. Australia's Stephanie Gilmore has taken the lead in the world rankings. Gilmore took down America's Lakey Peterson in the finals after beating Brazilian Tatiana Weston Webb in the semi-finals. The win was Gilmore's third of the season in a first event in South Africa. The captain of the Croatian football team, Luka Modric, and rest of the veterani are training in Moscow ahead of the big day. Now, Croatia is preparing to take on France in the World Cup final at the Luzhniki Stadium on Sunday. The nation of approximately 4 million people has a chance to become the smallest country to win the World Cup since Uruguay's upset of Brazil in 1950. France and Croatia fans are counting down the hours until the main game of the 2018 FIFA World Cup with its population just above 4 million. Croatia fans see the game as a fight against David and Goliath. But on the other side, France look to win their second global crown that would cap one of the most battling campaigns ever seen. The village of Glebovets, which is about 50 kilometers northwest of Moscow, has played host to the French team the past month and are thrilled that their adopted team has made it to the World Cup final. The French football team used to train in a local stadium 200 meters away from the village, though there was little interaction between the French team and the townsfolk of Glebovets. The locals are proud of the team and will undoubtedly be cheering them on the big day.